Hi, welcome to Feltalala. Today we're going to work on our Winnie the Pooh. So this is Winnie the Pooh as drawn by EH Shepard for the AA Milne book in 1926. So we're going to make a Winnie, and there's another video where you can do Piglet with his big red balloon. And Winnie with his honey pot. So when we look at Winnie, what do we have here? We have 1, 2 circular shapes, and then 2 discs for ears, and 1, 2, 3, 4 tubular shapes. So let's begin with the circular shape for the head. And when you look at the head, you see it's not just a circle. So we are going to make a cylinder where we pull that nose up. So it's going to be fatter on one side and then thinner on the other, and we'll pull the nose up. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 colors in your kit. There's the yellowy orange for Pooh Bear. There's a very small amount of black for Pooh Bear's nose and mouth and little eyeballs, and the off-white and blue are for the honey pot. So let's make a head. Let's begin by making a head. I think this looks about right. Okay, so if you've done other videos with us, and this is maybe a medium level, so maybe you've done a beginner level like the acorns. We've done balls before. You generally are using spheres in all kinds of things that you make. So in this case, I'm just going to fold it over and roll it up and take my felting needle. Kind of get that attached. That it already has some structure. And I want it to be fairly tight. And I've left it cylindrical to begin to see what we have here. So this is what I have. I've got this bit of a cylinder. So I look at this and I say, okay, I see the nose. That's going to come around, and then the head. And I'm probably going to want to add some onto that head, but I think we've got a good start here. So let's continue to make this the nose. He does have kind of a point on the end of his nose, doesn't he? Remember, straight in and out with the needle. Even if you're coming from this side, as long as you're going in the same direction in and out, you're not going to break your needle. You don't. Okay, so let's look at where we're at now. Let's compare. All right, so if that comes up, and then this comes around the back, we're just about there for the initial shape. Let's see what I have there. Okay, so it is already turning up a bit there. I think I'll encourage it at the edge to do more. So if I wanted to turn up this way, if I felt in like this, then it will start to turn, you see? What does that? Give him this little nose. I'm going to encourage it from the underside as well to take that Pooh Bear nose shape. Okay, we've definitely started to turn up there. So then, I think what we want to do is we want to build up the head a bit here. Let's take a little bit more. Whoa. Never too much at a time. Let's check where we are again. Pooh Bear. Winnie the Pooh. Okay, I want more forehead, top of head still. Well, this is not looking bad at all now. So we use our hands to shape as well as our needles. So I think we have got a pretty good general shape for a Pooh Bear head. And now we'll just spend some time tightening it up and making it firmer and neater. Is that a Pooh Bear head? Pooh Bear head. Yes, I think it is a Pooh Bear head. A little bit more of a forehead. So there we go. On to the next. All right, so we have a good shape for Pooh Bear's head. Now let's give him a body. And we've pulled off about this much. My yellow has a bit of pink in it, pinky purple. You take that out if you like, or leave it in if it works fine. Okay, so well, this looks like about the right amount to me. So we'll start rolling it up tightly. Where we're at now. Okay. I'm going to start pulling it in a bit. So you see what I did there? It's longer, so I've pulled in those edges to get the shape that we want. Let's compare. Yes, our length is about right. I think we'll make him just a little bit shorter, and then we'll work on expanding on that tummy, because as you know, he has a rumbly tummy. A rumbly tummy is a tummy. Okay, so the head at its thickest point is about 1 3/4 inches, and the body at its thickest point is about 2.5, and just about 2 inches wide. You see, he's got honey in his tummy, don't you know? Okay, come on, Pooh Bear. And then let's give our hero a tummy. So we use our hands, right, for shaping as well as needles. For shaping and smoothing and nudging and cajoling. I'm feeling good about the shape we've come to here for that body. Looks pretty good to me. Nice tubby bear. So I think that's going to work. So now we have head and we have body. Okay, so here we have our Pooh Bears and our piglet, and they're going to watch on as we make Pooh some arms and legs. So for the arms, I'm looking for about 2 1/4 inches. We'll start with this much wool and use a skewer. A skewer is a really good idea. You don't need it. You can just roll it really tightly. But if you use a skewer, it aids you along the way. So I roll it around the skewer and then I tie it in. Being careful not to poke the skewer itself, because that will break the needle. But getting right up to the edge and locking that wool in there. And then taking it off of the fabric when we stab into the felt backing, and we're actually felting this to it. So you have to remember to keep removing it. Okay, and then I'm gonna pretty tightly roll and then lock it again. Just try to tighten it up. And let's see what we have here. We have about 3 inches. So when I say 2 1/4, it's 2 1/4 for the arm itself, and then there'll be a little extra for the looser bits that we're going to attach with. So I think we're on track here. This looks good. And remove it and twist it. And roll it up some more. Stabbing to make it tight. Pull it off, roll, and then I'm going to remove it from the skewer. Felt those ends in. Okay, so at this point, we'll compare it to the finished. and it seems much larger, but we're going to felt it down some more. So I think that this will be our loose end. This will be our paw end. So I'll push in the paw end. And you see here, I made a little indentation just to suggest a thumb and a paw. And we will come back to that. So now as we stab it, we're going to continue to make it tighter and a little bit smaller, compressing the fibers. But I only want it tight to that 2 1/4 inches. So just to about here. So we'll leave this bit loose for attaching, and there's probably a bit much, so I'm going to take a little bit of it off. A little bit more off. Okay, for the attaching. So now it's just a matter of tightening it up. Now I'm going to use my hands. The friction and moisture from my hands is going to help with the felting. You can keep a little bit of water on this side for moistening your hands. I find that is helpful. My youngest child, who also felts, has naturally moist hands, so they don't need to do this. They don't need to do the moistening part. There we go. So that helps with both the tightening and I like to do it at the end because it also removes a lot of the marks from the needle, the poking marks. Let's compare again. The size is about right. I believe we can take a little bit more off the edge, off the end, for that 2 1/4, 2 1/4. And you can see with my finished one here that I do have a bit of a diagonal there. So I'm going to try to create that again. You can see that I cut it. I had made this one too long. So I cut it. There are folks who say never cut the felt, but I'll use this for something later. Right now, just for checking the sizing, which doesn't look too bad at all. To my suggestion of a paw. Okay, let's see. Let's take this to our body. There's our nice round tummy. 2 1/4. So it's gotten longer again. I pull a little bit more from that end. Two and a quarter. So I don't want beyond that, right? There's my 2 1/4. Pull that, pull it, and pull it. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That looks like that is going to be fine. Pooh size arm. Okay, so there's one. Please do go on and make a second one. Just the same way. You want 2 of them, and you want to make sure that they're the same size before you move forward. And so let's do the leg. And the leg is a little bit longer. The leg is 2 1/2. And there's going to be a bend for the foot. Right, and this loose. Make sure this end is nice and loose to attach. And there's our bend for the foot. So let's do that. Let's make us a Pooh Bear foot. So I think about this much. Let's go with that. So back to our skewer. Roll around and lock. Measure how far we are at the start, about 3 inches. It's going to work. Pull it off your mat and roll some more. See how we started at 3 inches and now we're closer to 3.5. So that's something to take note, that it really does seem to get wider as you go along. Of course, you can do that. Just push it in. Beauty of felting. You can change anything at any time, kind of. Now remove this and we'll determine which is our toe end, which I think is this end. See, it's a little smaller. You'll probably naturally have one side that's a little smaller and tighter, and one side that's a little looser, and will make more sense for those fluffy loose bits that will attach to the body. So let's turn this into a paw. And then we said we wanted 2.5, which is about to here. So beyond here is just going to be the loose bits for attaching. The more you stab, the tighter it gets, because you're tangling it. You're tangling it and tangling it and tangling it, so it's becoming more compressed. Tangling those little barbs in the fibers. So let's give this a roll with our hands. Oh, Pooh Bear. Does that feel like a nice leg for you, Pooh Bear? Looks pretty good for the size of the body. Okay, I think that is going to work. So I'm going to neaten up this foot, and then we want to create, so here's where it's going to attach to the body, and you see I have that diagonal there, which helps a lot. Let's make sure we're okay. So I'm over 3, so 2.5 is going to be to here. Funny how it does that, hey? So 2.5 is to here. So let's take just little bits off. Pulling and pulling and pulling. There we go. I think that's about right. Okay. 2.5. All right, so now we want a bend in that foot. About right there, I think. Let's compare it to this foot. Yep. So to create that bend, that hinge, I'm going to felt in at the hinge. At the front, I'm kind of going in at an angle, keeping my needle straight in and out so I don't break it, but I can do that at any angle. So coming in at an angle, and then I'm going to fold it over at the hinge and felt from the back too. And I don't want him to puff out at the ankles. He'll end up with joint pain. Pooh Bear wants to have sturdy ankles. He told me. Okay. All right. Well, that, I think, is a nice leg. That's a nice Pooh Bear leg. So please do go ahead and make a second leg of the same size and use your first leg as a template as well as the instructions. Okay, on to the next.